Hi, this is Heidi, episode 23, Small Changes. Life isn't a spectator sport. The greatest rewards come to those who show up every day with a pocket full of courage, grit, and a little sparkle. Well, hello. Here we are at the end of January. I am at the point of the month where I'm kind of ready for winter to be over. I'm kind of a 2-month winter girl, but I know we have like 4 more months of it, and I'm trying so hard to find all the good in it every day. I do actually love that my kids get to ski in the snow. So that's one thing I keep on telling myself. But here we are, we're 4 weeks into the new year, and maybe you set out to make some big changes on January 1st. And maybe you've hit a few hard spots. Maybe you didn't realize the challenges that would come up, or maybe you've taken your time, like I think is wise, to consider your goals and visualize the person you want to be first. I think that's the best way to do it. In this episode, I want to talk to you about very small, everyday changes and how they prime your brain to create new habits, and how lots of little changes add up to exponentially bigger results, bigger than we can even imagine. So first, let's talk about our brains so you can see how and why little habits and changes are so important. First, our brains are constantly changing through youth and up to roughly the age of 30. And we expect other people and ourselves to change and grow in these years. And the change in our brain is called neuroplasticity, or the ability for it to change. And we learn things in our early years. We pick up habits. Maybe our parents help us create systems and structures and new skills. And our brains get used to learning new things. And our kids know that each year in school, they're going to make new friends, maybe learn new information, sit at a new lunch table, maybe sit at a different seat on the bus, and so forth. They expect it. So their brains are so open to change because they're prepared for it. But they find security and safety in the normal routines that they have formed and the habits that they have at home, which is very, very good. We learn a lot in our early years about how to do certain activities. And since our brains like to conserve energy, we start to rely on the routines and habits that we learned and that we can do on autopilot. Our brains then can use energy to then do new things that challenge us or things that are new. Now, this usually serves us really well. This brain on autopilot, if you will, makes us do like the same habits every morning, or allows us to use little energy to make our favorite meals, gets us in the habit of doing maybe our evening routines that prepare us for the next day. We're all totally experienced driving somewhere and then we realize, oh no, we missed a turn because we're going to this other place that we go to a lot just out of habit or being on that autopilot. Now, this is why all those little habits are so important. Our lives are made up of little thoughts, emotions, habits, reactions, actions we take in the small moments. The sum of all those little moments or choices become the whole of our life. And just like the small little dots in the paintings of classic French pointillism art, all those little dots created masterpieces, beautiful, beautiful art. Just like that, every little decision we make, every little choice creates the sum of our life. And if we aren't careful, we just keep repeating the past over and over again because our brain wants to know what is best to do. And so it's going to look to the past because it has certainty. So this is probably why many people stop changing roughly after 30, because they have so many set habits in place and life is comfortable. The routine meals or responses to problems or the way we talk to ourselves, it seems so set in place. But you guys, it doesn't have to be this way. Our brains continue to be neuroplastic. We can still change. And one of the easiest ways to prepare your brain to make bigger changes is to start with small changes. Small changes show our brain that big changes aren't scary. And we learn that being uncomfortable is an okay emotion. It isn't as scary as like our primitive brain really wants us to think. And by making small little changes, we create the identity that we're someone who can change. I love the quote, "Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change the toilet paper roll." We desire big changes, but our brain has a hard time doing even the small little changes. And this is because we become accustomed to the way we do things, or maybe not even knowing something new is even possible. Or we get easily frustrated by maybe a pretty small obstacle. Often people want to lose weight, but they can't imagine trying a new restaurant or eating something different for breakfast. Or we say we want a new job or promotion, but we aren't willing to learn like a new app on our phone or figure out Venmo or so forth. So the way to prime our brains for big change is to start small. Start by being conscious of your day and the choices you're making. Tell yourself you're going to do one new thing a day at a minimum. Drive maybe a new route to work or a new route taking the kids to school. Just taking different streets is going to require your brain to be more active, to be more aware of turns, how a road twists. You won't be on autopilot. Now, you can go back to the old route if you want, but then continue to try to go on a new street or take a new route somewhere else at least once a week. You'll need to pay a lot more attention to the things going on around you. And honestly, you might learn a shortcut. I know I have. Get something different at your usual meal, at your usual restaurant. Try a dish you haven't eaten before. Okay, you might not like it, but you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone in a very non-threatening way. If you really hate it, you can then go home and eat cereal, like my kids do. We ate ice cream at Baskin-Robbins a few times over our winter trip. We could walk to a beautiful downtown outdoor plaza area in Muscat, Oman. And among other things, there was a Baskin-Robbins there. And I have fond memories growing up of going to get ice cream there with my parents and our family. And my favorite flavors were chocolate chip and an Edwards Tradition mint chocolate chip. Now, okay, I confess, the first time we did go there in Oman, I did get mint chip. But the second time we went, because my husband and I had been talking about how we do new things every day as we're preparing for new futures, we both tried new flavors and we loved them. That little action trained our brain that change can be good. It was very non-threatening, well, except I can't get new ice cream every day. But this makes my brain think it's safer when I want to try like a new yogurt or a new granola or a new vegetable, something healthier. New is easier to choose. And we like to vacation in the summer in North Carolina at my parents' house. There are lots of usual things we like to do repeatedly, traditions of things we love are fun and create memories, but I always intentionally try new restaurants, go into new stores, go to a few new summer events, try new activities. Of course, we do the usual that we love, but trying new things showed me how fun paddleboarding is. It conditioned my brain to do other new things, bigger new things like learning more about how to care for my dad's boat. Okay, when your kids come home from school, change what you ask them. Force yourself to be aware of something about them and then make a new comment to them. This will make your brain look for something that you don't always see in them. Go into a store you've never gone into before. Look around. Buy something only if you want to, but just going into the new store gives your brain new ideas for possibilities. Going into new stores or trying new routes somewhere will give you courage if you want to make bigger new changes, like going to a country you've never gone to or the such. The small can give us courage for the big. Okay, this is small, but I swear it makes a difference. Nothing changes my brain more than moving the apps around on my phone. I just did it again. When I moved all my social media apps to a really hard place on my phone for me to find. My usual apps become a habit for my fingers to click on, very little thinking. Now, this serves me well in a lot of ways. It doesn't serve me when I'm mindless wasting time, not aware of the information flowing into my head. So moving the apps makes me be very aware of what I'm clicking on. That little change makes my brain work. And I move the apps that I know will get me closer to my goals to a place that are easier for me to access. Those little changes and habits add up quickly. Now, last year I did something that I'm continuing this year. Every day I made sure that I did one new thing for my coaching business. Many times it was finding a solution to a challenge I had, finding a new technology to solve a problem. Each day, just one new thing. When I published my podcast, I thanked the person I was who ordered the microphone 6 months earlier. I thanked myself one day for just solving the problem of how to host the podcast. I thanked myself for months earlier asking someone to take pictures and make my artwork. One day I signed up for editing software. Lots of little new things added up to being able to publish a podcast. It took a lot of brain power the first time I did everything, but now all the steps are easy and they are on autopilot. I'm benefiting from doing it all new once, allowing the discomfort and never stopping. And it really was and is the sum of a lot of little new things. Saying yes to trying new workout videos or to take one new class opened me up to new workouts that I totally love. I always tell my friends I'll try a class once. I don't always like them, but I have to try the new to find out. Listen to a new podcast or a new book that's recommended by a friend. You might not like it, but this opens up your mind to learning new material. Often we have to identify what we don't like in order to find out what we do like. Talk to someone new in your neighborhood for a few minutes or at the gym on your walk to and from the train. Sign up and volunteer for an hour at an event that you haven't before. It's just an hour and you'll meet people that you haven't met before and you might learn a new skill. This one small change could prepare you to meet new people and make new friends who could influence your life substantially. Ski down a trail you haven't skied before. Sit in a different pew at church. You'll pay a lot more attention than sitting in the usual pew. Switch parking spots in your garage if it's okay with the person you share a garage with. Learn to log into an app on your phone you hear everyone talking about. I choose at least one trip a day in my car. Usually it's a short, maybe 10-minute trip in town where I intentionally have no noise, no radio, no podcast going. If I can, I make it a longer trip. This change of habit allows me to be more present with my thoughts and pay more attention to the things going on around me. It's small, but it has made really big changes in my thinking and mindset. I also love trying new simple things just to make sure I'm not limiting myself. In order to get comfortable with new bigger changes, I want to make sure my brain is always open to the new. And this allows me to always be open to new solutions, to see new perspectives, to see areas where I'm not necessarily right. And thinking we always do things the right way or that there has to be only one right way is certainty, and that's what our brain wants. But this attitude is one of the most limiting thoughts and mindsets we can ever have. We don't see the value in how other things are done. We don't see how other solutions might work or might be better. And occasionally we might be wrong as well. So doing small new things open our minds to even increased empathy and compassion and understanding for other people. Just new experiences allow us to connect with more people because we have more shared experiences. And I learn empathy for myself if I try something new and fail or make mistakes as I'm trying to do something new. I get to practice how I talk to myself and what I make those mistakes mean about me. Now, remember, I'm not saying that you go and do all these things in one day. The idea is that you intentionally do one small new thing a day. Some changes might put in motion bigger changes, and you might want to keep doing the one thing you change. And these small changes really might add up to a really big result. Anything big always starts small. In fact, it's in the mastering of the small things that we learn the skill of mastering the big. In other words, we have to learn to change the toilet paper roll before we change the world. And training our brains to become more flexible and pliable prepares us for bigger and more significant changes. Telling ourselves daily, I'm someone who does something new, then doesn't make the big changes as scary. We're already someone who makes daily changes. Now listen, many people are not even sure where to make changes. Often we have these limiting thoughts about our lives, what we think about our choices during the day. And if you want to make big changes and you're not sure where to start, sign up for a phone call with me on HeidiBenjaminson.com. I promise you'll know at least one area that's holding you back by the end of our call. Our limitations are only in our minds. Please continue to rate and review and share. Hi, this is Heidi. I'm so grateful for all of you who are telling me how much these are helping you learn and grow. I'll see you next week.